What's up, guys? Roberto Parker here with IST, Innovative Sports Training. Time for another health detective discussion. Today we're going to talk about the top 10 healthiest, leanest countries in the world. Now, the last talk was about the top 10 fattest. Today we talk about the top 10 healthiest and what they have in common. So let's jump right into it. Now, there are about 12 countries here. Obviously, that's not 10, but in researching to do this topic today, I go to different websites and different publications, and they have different top 10 countries for about 4 or 5 different publications. So what I did, I took the most common appearing country and I put them in about a component of 12 here. But I will say this, the number one country that I saw in practically every publication was Japan. Now, the rest are not necessarily in order of health. Singapore, Finland, Sweden, Canada, Switzerland, Israel, South Korea, France, Andorra, Australia, Monaco. Those 12 countries represent pretty much the top 10 countries in the world in terms of health, fitness, and leanness. Now, what do they have in common? And once again, this doesn't represent each and every one of these countries, because some of these countries are heavily more weighted in certain areas versus others. And I could spend an hour on each one of these different topics alone, but I'm sure you don't want to hear all that. Number one was that most of these countries have a very low level of stress. Now, stress is kind of a relative term. We know that stress can come in the form of chemical, physical, mental, spiritual, nutritional. But stress pretty much is how you handle pain in your life, you might say. So these countries typically have lower, less stress levels compared to the United States of America. High fiber from fresh foods, important, particularly from vegetables and fruits. High omega-3 fatty acids from fresh foods, animals that are wild caught, wild game, fish, salmon, tuna, sardines. Fermented foods. Now, countries around the equatorial part of the world probably ferment foods. Probably the Asian countries, the Asian countries of the world are best known for the fermentation of many foods. But many of these countries ferment foods. Now, fermentation goes back thousands of years. Before we had refrigerators, we had to ferment foods. So we pickle food. So what these are here, what this represents, when you ferment food, good bacteria in the gut. And when you get that gut healthy, a lot of things are going to happen to the body that's very, very positive, mentally and physically. Now, some of these countries consume a lot of olive oils, not all of them. Another commonality, many of them, in fact I'd say practically all of them, they do a lot more walking than we do in our country. Now, they don't walk because they really love to walk. They walk because they go to work every day. Because in some of these countries, automobiles are not as prevalent as we have it here. They don't have mass transit in interstate systems. They walk. Incidental exercise. Now, to me, that's like acute bouts of exercise. So in these countries, they don't really have, people are not really into high competitive, structured, kick ass every day, got to go to the gym workouts. Their exercise, their activities is more revolved once again around walking, around labor. The way they perform their work is laborious, and maybe they get their fingers dirty, they lift up heavy objects. And exercise is not really as prevalent there as it is here, but they still are active. And actually that's in a lot of ways healthier. Their social networks are very strong. They have a very tight bond with one another. In fact, many of the European countries and some of the less developed countries are still kind of in tribes, you might say, or townships, where everybody knows each other and they know their family, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. There's that close-knitness. Whereas here in America, we tend to flee the home once we become adults and we might live across the country. We don't have that close social, which is the next one also, family network like they do in many other countries, where the grandparents and the great-grandparents parents and all the kids live under the same roof or on the same property. So that's important because that also helps to reduce stress up here. Consuming your native foods. Now, native foods to me are your ancestral type of foods. For example, if you evolved from living in the Antarctic, you're probably going to eat a lot of animal foods because you can't grow any vegetation in the Antarctic, such as the old Eskimos. Whereas if you live in the equatorial part of the world, around the equator, you're not going to consume as many animals, but you're going to eat a lot more fruits and berries and nuts and seeds and those sort of things. And some animals, yes. But it won't be as prevalent. So you want to eat your ancestral foods. In fact, they've done studies and they found that people who do not eat their ancestral foods where they evolved from typically aren't very healthy. More information on that, go to westernprice.org. They emphasize physical education in schools more in many of these countries, in particular in Japan and Finland and Sweden. I know that for a fact because I did a talk on this about 2 months ago on PE in schools. That's important because you learn those life lessons that's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. High insulin sensitivity. This is a biggie. That's why that and gut bacteria are circled, because that is huge, ladies and gentlemen. When your insulin sensitivity is up, your health is better, you have more growth hormone production, your brain is functioning better, your thyroid is functioning better, all the important organs are functioning better, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, your muscles. There's so much more positive stuff going on with your body when you have better insulin sensitivity. So those are the commonalities of all these different countries. Once again, some countries are more heavily weighted in certain areas more than others. At the bottom of the page, I'll leave you some references to check out. And guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Please call me. My number is 816-405-7703 if you want to dig deeper into your health to see what's going on with your body. I do lifestyle assessments, hormonal assessments, nutritional assessments, biomechanical assessments, exercise and fitness assessments. I do a lot of assessments. Guys, take care and God bless. Bye-bye.